Hey guys, it's Taylor back with Life with Taylor, and today we are going to be reading more Halloween paranormal Reddit. Let's get into it. Can somebody tell me if this is just some kind of normal ghost or what? Just to give some context, I live with my mom and sister in one bedroom, so when I went to draw in night, I use a flashlight so I won't bother them. I draw like that. Oh, okay, so got it. Drawing, like not draw. I thought it was like drawing in at night. Okay. Tonight, I didn't use it. I just kept it next to my notebook. The light from my notebook was enough. Okay, your notebook has a light? All was fine. Nothing was weird. Until that flashlight went literally flying and ended up on the ground. I literally watched it in my peripheral vision just fly off the table. I'm still kind of like flabbergasted, I guess. I had my fair share of weird stuff happening, but this takes the cake. What is your thoughts about it? Also, I have to say this whole house has weird stuff happening all the time. Stuff like there's no one there and you hear footsteps or opening of cabinets. You go there and nothing. At this point, it's a new normal, but I've never had something next to me moved. Okay, before we read the comments, typically, I feel like, I'm pretty sure, ghosts don't move things. It's poltergeist activity, and I actually was confused of what the meaning of poltergeist was until like a couple years ago. Let's see. Let's Google poltergeist. I don't even know how to spell it. Not the movie, please. Okay. A poltergeist is a term for a German folklore that translates to noisy ghost and refers to spirits believed to cause physical disturbances. Unlike typical ghosts, poltergeists are associated with chaotic activity like objects being thrown or moved, loud noises, and doors slamming. While supernatural explanations exist, some theorists suggest poltergeist activity may stem from the intense emotions or psychokinetic abilities of a living person, often a young person within the household. Interesting. And yeah, okay, it shows Ghost Adventures. It's from German folklore. Interesting. I did not know that. I feel like ghosts, like poltergeists, they have more power, more energy. And I feel like that can be both good and bad because like it could be just like a throwing off, or it said thrown. It just flew off the table. So it could just be like an aggressive throw, and then it could escalate quickly. So I don't know if this is a normal ghost per se, because it's already not a normal ghost. If there's like things moving, that's a poltergeist. So let's just see. See, somebody said, how old are you? And has your mother and sister ever experienced anything peculiar? That's what we just read. Younger people have, what did it say? Poltergeist-like activity may stem from the intense emotions or psychokinetic abilities of a living person, often a young person within the household. Now, how old is young? How old is young? I was gonna try to... Young is 10 to 19. I'm gonna refresh to see. So I accidentally just read the post was deleted. So there were no more comments. I picked these out a couple days ago. So yeah, I would say it's not a normal ghost. I'd say it's a poltergeist, but you may want to get some sage just to make sure the bad energy doesn't like spread, okay? Next, strong smell of cigar smoke in farmhouse built in 1850s. So already starting off, 1850s, farmhouse, it's definitely haunted. Cigar smoke, I feel like, is a like a popular smell, at least in like the videos that I've seen, which is like only 2 different YouTubers, but I feel like cigar smells are associated with old men. So let's just read this, I guess. I don't know what I'm yapping about. We live in a house built in approximately 1850. The property is a former dairy farm with the original barn still standing on the property. We are at the end of a dead-end country road, and the house is set back from the road. We have had a lot of odd experiences in the house. We're hurrying... Bro, it's 8 o'clock. I can't do this. It's too early. Hearing voices and noises, things going missing and showing up in a weird place, shadows, but there's one thing that really strikes me as an undeniable proof that there is something in the house. We will walk into certain rooms and be overwhelmed by the smell of cigar smoke. Neither my husband or I smoke, and our closest neighbor doesn't either. Further, the smell will only be apparent in that one room and nowhere else. It most frequently happens in our living room and my youngest daughter's room. I also once heard a man's voice very clearly say "okay" through the baby monitor in my daughter's room when I was home by myself. Our fire alarms also regularly go off in the middle of the night. Has anyone had a similar experience? My husband had never been a believer until we moved to this property. He has now had multiple experiences that he feels he cannot explain. We are not scared, but it is definitely jarring. I mostly get laughed off when I try to talk to friends and family about these experiences, so I would love any insight. Let's see. This is just going to be a Googling video. Let's see. I don't know what I was even going to Google. So it does sound like it definitely in the 1850s, especially a farm. Maybe like an old man, but let's see. Somebody commented, did any previous owner smoke? My late grandmother smoked a lot. No matter how much we cleaned the house, it still had a smell. I mean, probably. There has been a family in this house ever since it was built, with the exception of 2020 to 2022 when it sat empty before we moved in. I'm sure there were smokers in the house at least up until the 70s/80s, as it was the norm back then, but we have lived here for 3 years and do not smoke at all. The house didn't smell like cigarettes when we moved in either, and everything has been renovated and painted throughout. That is definitely good context, because even if it was occupied during 2020 to 2022 and the owners did smoke, it could potentially still smell like the air get trapped. But since I don't know what I'm trying to say. Anyways, these people are trying to debunk this lady. Somebody said tobacco smoke literally gets in the walls of an old house. There are methods for cleaning it and reducing the smells, but as a sign of a ghost, that's easily debunked. Fire alarms should be checked by a professional and replaced. Baby monitors easily pick up radio signals, and even passing truckers' CBs. Basically, all easily explained by normal, not paranormal reasons. As to other experiences, documenting what happened and when can help you get to the bottom of things over time, OP replied, but it doesn't smell at all, and then you walk into the room and it's as if somebody just lit a cigarette. The strongest, clearest scent. Otherwise, it never smells in the house. Our fire alarms are hardwired and we have had them checked. I also frequently clean the sensors for dust, cobwebs, because I thought that was a problem. It persists. The baby monitor turns on when it hears a sound in the room. I really highly doubt it's picking up a radio signal from a passing truck, especially since we are several kilometers from any major route. I should mention, it's also a video monitor that goes over our Wi-Fi that doesn't even use radio signals, does it? Everybody's being rude to OP, girl. Okay, so we got one comment that says, I'd say you've got company. I would set up some cameras and maybe find a spirit box and talk to them. Ask them not to smoke in the house or let them know it's time to move on. They probably are harmless, but I would watch for if anyone has any unexplained depression or anger, because they can inflict that kind of negativity into the living. Do some history on the house, prior owners, if there has been any unnatural deaths in the home or the fires. I have similar in a house we just live in, just old hairspray, Aquanet, sort of liquor, hairspray, dirty old man body odor, my letter opener flying across the kitchen, voices in the bar, room in the basement. Thank God we only rented and were able to move out of there, because my husband would get angry a lot and for no reason. I would cry. He would ask me what was wrong. I had no answer. Then I started watching Ghost Adventures and explained it all. Wish I could have owned a spirit box because I had a lot of questions. Lol. He replied, I know that one prior owner died in the home, probably somewhere in the early 90s. He was a dairy farmer and it hasn't been a working farm since he passed. It definitely isn't a negative energy, so maybe it's him. That's what I'm thinking. This post was also deleted. Anyways, this one is literally just a question, and I thought this would be fun if I answer a question that somebody has posted. The question is, what was the experience that made you believe in ghosts? So, I've kind of always grown up believing in ghosts because my dad used to watch Ghost Adventures, so I was not watching it, but I was aware of it. And sometimes I would watch it and I would get scared, if I'm gonna be honest. When I was little, I was like, no, I do not want to see this ghost. And then I started watching a show called Mountain Monsters. I realize now it is a very cheesy show, but I loved it when I was little, and I loved all the creatures and the characters, and I, again, was scared to leave the room after watching after watching Mountain Monsters. But I've always believed. It's just been always believed. Okay. And there was one recent event that I was like, oh, that's really weird. So I was in my bathroom and I was like, I think I was doing my skincare, and I heard, and my door was closed, and I heard footsteps like going to my room, like loud footsteps. And I sometimes misconstrue things in my head or think, oh my god, that's a ghost. But I genuinely thought somebody went to come check on me because it was like 11 o'clock. And I thought somebody was going to be like, hey, bro, why are you still up? I literally thought there were footsteps coming to my room. They sounded really real. So then I went. I was like, oh, my mom must be here. And so I heard them come up and then back. And then like right where the hallway ends, they stop. Like I didn't hear, usually you can hear footsteps coming from their room across the house all the way to my room. I didn't hear that. I just heard it up from where the hallway started to my bedroom and then back. So then I opened the door and I was like, And I looked around, I looked in my room, there was nobody. Okay. I walked to my parents' room thinking that like somebody was awake, dead asleep, literally. And I can have that skill where I can decipher people's footsteps, and it was not my dad's footsteps. Usually, I think it's him that is up messing with the air conditioner at night. It was not him. It could have been my mom going to the medicine cabinet thing that we have, but I don't know why. It literally sounded like it passed the door and went to my room. Whatever. People are gonna try to debunk it or whatever. And then I asked them 4 days later because I forgot. I was like, was anybody up at 4 days ago at 11 o'clock walking around near my bedroom? They're like, no. How are we supposed to remember 4 days ago? Okay, here is a comment story. I saw my boyfriend of 10 years get possessed in his apartment. He lives in Anoka, Minnesota, the Halloween capital of the world. It is definitely haunted AF. I believe that now. The town had an asylum with a dark past. I was at his apartment with him to help him straighten it up and clean at the end of the night. We went to bed. I slept on the floor and he slept on his small bed. His apartment is very small, less than a studio, I'd say. And the next thing I know, I wake up about 6 a.m. He had flipped his bed and he is lying on the ground, rolling around towards his vents, looking like he was being pulled and yelling in it, in a language I've never heard before, and he doesn't know any other languages. I've never seen him act like that before in 10 years of knowing him, so I get up and I say, and I'm like, hey, stop, what are you doing? And he won't stop this behavior, and he looked at me, and he didn't look like he was there. At one point, he said in his normal voice, it's not me, and I got freaked out and called 911, and freaking out, and the cops came, and my boyfriend is one to hate dealing with cops, so he would have definitely stopped. But when the cops got here, he continued rolling around and speaking a language. The cops were also confused, and they had an ambulance come to sedate him to get him to stop. I was so freaked out and jumpy for a while after that. After experiencing that, I'm a lot less jumpy, but still do not completely definitely believe there is something more than meets the eye. Yeah, this person said I've always believed in them, honestly, pretty much had no experiences. Same. Last one. Hilton Anatol haunted saw figures in room 489. Let's go ahead and Google Hilton Anatol. Okay, wait. Okay, that's creepy. My hands smell like sourdough bread starter. This is like a bougie place. Me, 18 male, and my friend 18 male, and our 2 dates, 18 female, were at the Hilton Anatol Hotel, room 489 for Texas versus Oklahoma weekend. We were going to bed both nights around 4 o'clock in the morning. We started to see and hear some very weird things. My friend and I were each in bed with our dates and were having trouble falling asleep. At times we would wake up and we would see full body shadows moving in the room. Strangely, the window had the same body silhouette as one of our friends. We checked with him and he nor anyone else is 100% sure they weren't in our room. The only 2 comments say, yeah, that is so scary. That happened to me too, but I was in my room and at my friend's house. Did you ever go back? Somebody else said, I heard of this a while ago too. That room must actually be haunted. Those are the only 2 comments. I'm gonna say it's a little sus seeing full body shadows moving in the room. I don't know. I just don't like it when people are like, is it a ghost? I think it's a ghost. I saw shadow figures. Because then it's like, now I feel like you're milking it, bruh. But I would not be surprised if that place is haunted based on the rooms. But I don't know about that one. That one's iffy. Last one. What was one experience you've tried to convince yourself wasn't paranormal, but you don't have any other explanation for? Mine was sitting at home with my family in our family room watching a movie. We had the light on in the hall in case one of us needed to get up, and just out of nowhere it went off. We figured it was the bulb dying, so kind of freaked out briefly, joked, and kept watching our movie, and well, it came back on not long after. We started joking about ghosts and figured it was electrical until it went off again. It was really weird, and my spouse went to check around the house, and etc. At this point, there was literally no one else home, and the light bulb was fine. Could have still been electrical, but there hasn't been anything similar since. It was weird. Anyone else? My story that I just told you was that. Okay, somebody replied, a few years ago, I, 31 female, went to Budapest with a couple of friends, also 31 female, to celebrate my birthday. We stayed in a small but very nice holiday rental in a block of flats in the old town. On the day we arrived, our flight had been delayed and we couldn't find the entrance to the flat right away, so we arrived later than planned and headed straight out as we had a wine tasting book. We got home late that night and went to bed. The next morning, one of my friends had gone out for a run and the other one was lounging around, so I was the first one to go into the bathroom to take a shower. They had one of those hotel-style bath mats, kind of like a thick towel, which I unfolded and put on the floor outside the shower. I'm certain it was clean and dry when I put it down. I got in the shower and then, when I was done, I just stepped out. I looked down and noticed 2 large footprints on the bath mat. They looked like men's footprints and were facing away from the shower. I initially thought they must be stains or dirt left on the bath mat, but I realized there were several wet footprints of the same size leading from the bath mat to the door, which I had locked. I was a little startled by this, quickly wrapping myself in a towel, opened the door and checked if the wet footprints were anywhere else in the flat, but they seemed to stop at the inside of the bathroom door. There was no window in the bathroom, no one but me had been in the shower since we'd arrived, and there hadn't been any wet patches at all on the floor previously. The bathroom was very small, so I would have noticed them. They were very blatantly footprints, no water dripping from the ceiling either, no one but us was in the flat, and we were actually deadbolted the front door from the inside overnight while my friend was on her run. I didn't tell either of my friends because one of them believed in ghosts and would have freaked out at the thought of a ghost in the house, and the other one would have thought there was an intruder and felt uncomfortable. Still struggling to explain this one. That is creepy. That is really, really, really creepy. Besides maybe you didn't notice it at first and they were all females in there. I don't know. That's a good one. That's a good one. I think that was the best one so far. Yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Comment down below your takes on these stories. While you're done, click on the button. You know what to do. And I hope you guys have a good day, night, evening, morning, wherever you are in the world viewing this. And peace.